Okay, now we're going to do part 3. Everything is finished, and little man is back in his cage. You can see him right there at the top towards the front, and he is very happy. He just got misted and eating the dubias that were left over. So I'm going to open this up very gently, give you guys an idea of his cage. And there he is in all his glory. Let me open this door. Because of the ropes, I do have to be careful because they do tug on his plants, and I have to make sure he's not up on a branch. But you can see the umbrella tree, or plant. I call it a tree because of how big it is. And down at the bottom, over to the left, is his pothos. It's not very big yet, but down there it is growing. We're getting some good vines on it. And there's the Dracaena. And like I said, we keep it over there. As you can see, it does get light, but because the mister is in the top left, it doesn't get overwatered. It gets just enough from the umbrella tree dripping on it to water it and keep it from dying, because they are hard to keep and hard to keep alive. So, and they also grow very slow. We did cut some branches down, like that one right there, because the light blockage is preventing some of these new growths from coming up. So a little trimming, rearranging of the leaves so he can get to them a lot easier. Say hi, buddy. Say hi. He likes to pose for the camera. I haven't figured that out. I know a lot of them get freaked out, but with him, if there's a camera near him, he poses. Anyway, so I can get out of his space. Back there you can see we do keep a, it's kind of hard to see because of the glare, but a humidity gauge. It's really high right now because it's wet and it's near the mister. And the temperature at the bottom says 68, but it's really warmer than that. And at the top it says 87% humidity. But like I said, you can tell everything's wet. His mister just went off. Couple things I did want to mention. If you have your cage near a door, such as this one, we have a balcony door, we're in an apartment. What we have done is put some really inexpensive plastic that you can find like in home repair section, and again, Dollar General or any dollar store or a hardware store. And we've got that on there covering any vents to prevent any cold air from coming in and affecting his cage. Also, he is near an air vent in the apartment. There's just no way around it to put a 7-foot tall, 3-foot wide cage near or anywhere in the apartment without it being near an air vent. So we've covered that with plastic as well. A couple things I did want to talk about are how to keep feeders. A couple people have asked questions about that, so I did want to kind of show what we do. Over to the left is where we keep the crickets. That one's crickets. That one is dubias, and that one in the middle are those that I call on death row. We also keep cotton balls. Cotton balls are a nice, clean, easy way to keep moisture in the cage for them to be able to get water without it making a big mess and drowning any of them. So for the cricket cage, because they are stinky, we actually took this Sterilite container, cut out part of the top, and this is just screen material. I'm sorry, I have a kitten that is very curious. So by the way, yes, we have cats. No, they are never left alone without supervision around anywhere around the chameleon cage. But anyway, in here, if I can open it slowly without any of them trying to make a break for it, you see we've got the screen in there that we made for them to climb around on to keep from smothering each other. It also keeps the smell down. Egg crates, yeah, we have a tiny one in there, but that will be taken out and thrown away. They've got a little bit of mixture of some fruit and liquid and so forth, and there's the wet cotton ball over there in the corner. Just the regular cotton ball, soak it in water, don't over soak it so that way it's leaking everywhere. Just enough to where they can go to it and get moisture. I don't like keeping oranges or potatoes, especially because potatoes hold absolutely no nutritional value for your chameleon. All those things can get moldy, and I don't recommend them. Orange slices, we tried that in the beginning, and they mold really quickly and get gross, and again, that's a lot of citric acid for the chameleon to ultimately end up with. The dubias, you know, we just poked holes in the top. Again, there's an egg crate in there, but it won't stay in there for very long. Most of them are hidden underneath it. But then again, dubias aren't quite as gross as crickets. And there's gut load in here too, along with the cotton ball. But I'm not as worried about them eating the gut load and so forth ahead of time, because we don't really put them on death row, so to speak, before we feed them. And then the death row bin. It's much smaller, just holes in it. We keep about 15 to 20 crickets in here. These are the crickets that we feed to Viserion. You want to make sure that they have a good 24 to 48 hours in here to make sure that they are good and gut loaded before you feed them to your chameleon, and this is a good way to guarantee that. You can see the gut load mixture right there on a lid. We put them on lids because, in an upside down lid, because any liquid that comes off of it will, instead of getting all over the cage, it will just end up in that ring around the lid. We have a little screen for them to climb around on. Of course, another fresh toilet paper roll, because they like to hide out in there, as that one was doing. And then a wet cotton ball, so they still get moisture. And again, there's probably, nope, there's not one in there. Looks like we need to put some more on death row in here. But also, they rarely die in here because it's not near as crowded. So that's how we keep our feeders. Again, I mentioned in a comment earlier, make sure on the main container that you are keeping your crickets in that you are picking out any dead ones. They do emit fumes, and they will kill an entire colony. Not only that, they harvest pests, and crickets are known for cannibalizing or eating their other cricket carcasses, and that can affect all of them. It will kill them. So as you can see, we have pretty healthy crickets in here, and there's one or two, well, I see one dead one that we'll need to grab out of there. But we go through them and pick those out on a regular basis to prevent the others from dying off as well. We have ordered crickets before and didn't realize that one or two dead crickets could kill the whole colony, and within 2 days we had all dead crickets. This is Viserion's carrying cage or container when we take him to the vet. I'll put pot holders on the bottom because they're good and soft, and then I'll put a wooden spoon in there. It reaches from one side to the other, prevents it from tipping over, and it's just something for him to hang on to. And then I'll take a pillowcase and usually cover it just so any sights or anything don't really stress them out, because it stresses them out enough as it is when they're moved in that. Inside the bag are extra toilet paper rolls. We don't go through that much toilet paper. The girls at my office actually save the toilet paper rolls for me, and we just collect them and bring them home every week because we replace the toilet paper rolls as dispensers about every other day because they get just as gross as egg crates. But anyway, that's just basic as I wanted to show you. We do have hornworms, which I've mentioned. Some of them are outrageously huge. Right now I've got those containers sitting in a cool space to prevent them from turning into moths. A couple of them are already doing what I call the moth roll, which is where they're getting ready to cocoon. So keeping them in a cool environment slows them down, and I'm trying to prevent that from happening on the ones that we can actually feed to Viserion. And then the bigger ones, sadly, will be released somewhere where they can be fed to nice local hawks and owls and falcons, because we are in an area of the country where there's plenty of them, including eagles. But anyway, and we have the nice little locks on there. And if you guys have any questions about the cage, how we made it, the ideas we came up with, a lot of this was trial and error, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you guys have. And I hope that this video was helpful, especially if you're looking to build your own cage and how to care for them. But anyway, you can just leave us a comment, or you can comment on the Facebook page where I'm posting these. Thanks, guys.